out goes the powerhouse, and the COVID-19-Man has come to deliver you from the empty land, from the ones who have been silenced to the promised land of the AlefBet, which is the original place for the soul of a man, where he can now get his jubilee and abide safe like he's never been, in the power of the Father, in the powerhouse, cause that's what wordectric, davar, he's the AlefBet, we're connected. Wordectric, davar, in the powerhouse, we're connected. Truth in the Torah where it is, that's right. And whether you like it or not, I just don't give a damn. Cause in this thing, the end is gonna be for sure. It's got a date before the song began to score. This ain't no lie, we about to fly. Cause in the truth, there's nothing that can be denied. Here's the COVID-19-Man is hooking you up to the AlefBet, to the powerhouse, with you waving. The COVID-19-Man is gonna hook you up, cause that's what wordectric, davar, in the AlefBet, we're connected. Wordectric, davar, to no one else I'm genuflecting. Wordectric, davar, to the powerhouse I'm connected. And then I want to get your power back, cause you were fighting there. The powerhouse not scared, you won't be silenced. Nobody can touch what you were fighting there. Gets to cut the masking back of lies. The righteous now they cries, cause the COVID-19-Man is gonna hook you up to the powerhouse. Live the power show, ride this mule around. Once again, my fellow Davarians, I am back in orbit again, visiting Facebook, coming around, checking on my fellow Davarians. I've been miss you, not being able. I really enjoy getting the Facebook, and it's quite different doing it someplace else like that. But I'm back, and so, I'm going to share right now. Brian was kind enough to donate a computer, a desktop computer. It came this afternoon. I mean, he came like around 1 o'clock. Like 12 noon, around 1. And then he set up the whole thing, so we have a backup system. Because this week, my computer froze for about 3 hours, and I thought I lost all the information I had in there. So I told him about it. He had prepared a tower, a desktop tower, bigger than the one I have, the size of it, that is. So he set it all up with Windows 10, the latest one, because the one I have is Windows 7. So I got the latest, so we have a backup system in case something goes down with my computer. We have another one, because it's been a whole year of stuff. So he came and donated that for the group, the COVID-19-Man, and I'm grateful for that. And he set it all up, and we had that going. So we had a little lesson here in my house, and I'm going to share that lesson here with you today. And I did it using the computer that he set up. It doesn't have all the background for the green screen, so you don't see that, but you see me there right next to the Bible verse, which is the ideal for start teaching anyhow. So the test that is, hey Buey, here the reading of the first will and testament, and enjoy your true riches, right? Hear the will of your first. Hey Buey, I'm saying hey because that's the letter of the alphabet, and I want to take you right now. So you were talking about. So hey Buey, here the first reading of your first will and testament. All right. So let me put it up here. Let me go to the screen where we can look at what I'm talking about here. Yes, here we go. All right, so here we are. And so it says, the COVID-19-Man, hey, Buey. And the word hey, as you can see, it will be that letter up over there. You know, the Vav is the number 6, and the one right next to it is hey, number 5. And hey is also done by the little guy with the right hands raised up and his feet. That's an old animated, lively guy that can play charades, you know. So it can activate, it's animated, it's alive. So hey is the word for breath in the Hebrew, okay? And a lot of rabbis say, you know, I have listened to a lot of rabbis that say that when God said the first word that he said was the word hey, the first letter of the alphabet, because that has to do with breath. So, hey, you know, the breath. And with the breath of God, everything came into existence, because every time you have to say something, the breath comes out. So the breath takes over and it gets the carrier of the word. So the breath is the number 1 word in the AlefBet. It's supposed to have come in existence or manifested itself. That's what a lot of rabbis say. You know, I was listening to some of them, and I thought very interesting. But also in the Phonetic picture language, you know, you have the hey as the guy with all the hands moving. So that's who we are, right? And I've been teaching you about the AlefBet, all right? And the AlefBet, as you can see there, all the way at the end, all the way at the end is number 1. That's the Aleph, that's the head of the ox, and right next to it is the Beth. That's the floor plan of the house. So the Aleph on the Beth is a strong tower, or, you know, a leading house. All of that represents the Father, okay? And when the Bible talks about loving God, to love God with all your heart, the word love is the Aleph on the Beth, and get what letter goes in the middle. You take the Aleph on the Beth, and to say love in the Hebrew, you put the hey in the middle of the Aleph on the Beth. So that in between, you know, the Aleph on the Beth, there's a little guy working himself to death to keep the Aleph, the strong house, you know, strong. Because when you put the hey, which means to animate, to activate, because that's what breath does, it brings oxygen and animation. So it keeps it animated, activated, it keeps it lively, right? So being liveliness. So God breathed the neshama, the soul, into us is the breath of God, so that we will employ the neshama to keep the house alive, to keep the strong house alive. So we go right in the middle of it. So whenever any company works, any company makes a business, they make a strong building, right? A strong tower. That represents the father and the foundation of the company. Every company has a building, which is a strong tower, and that represents the father and the founder of the whole company. All the progress is going to come out of it. But guess what? All the little employees in there, they are the neshamas. I mean, everybody that works there, they are loving. They're keeping that AlefBet alive. They're keeping that strong structure. So it's all perfect how God works in the alphabet, you see? So we receive the animation, we receive the life to employ in keeping the revelation of the Father going. Okay? The alphabet is the founder of everything, of every book, of every scientific formula. The alphabet is behind everything. So we are the ones that keep this alive, and we identify with it, and that's our first economy. All right? So that's a beautiful thing. That's why I said at the beginning, hey, Buey. You know, and Buey is the word for ox. Okay? It's the ox. So I'm calling you, hey, Aleph. You know, Aleph also the word for a powerful speaker, because I have the word Aleph is spelled Aleph with the A, and the L, that means God, powers, you see, and the Pei is for the mouth, so powerful speaking. So, hey, Buey, hear the readings of the first will and testament, and enjoy your true riches, okay? And the way I call it is, in this world of the retarded garden, you get to hear the reading of the last will and testament, you know? When your parents and your father died, and he leaves your inheritance, then they call you to come and hear the reading of his last will and testament. Because when your father in this retarded garden dies, that's when you get to enjoy all the riches that he accumulated, and get to do whatever you want with those riches. And so it's set up backwards. With God, he gathered together his children and he presented his first will and testament, not because he had died, but because he was going to introduce the riches of what we were made for. We were made for the AlefBet, and he was going to be there in us as the alphabet, as the strong tower, as the house, having that fellowship with us from the very beginning. And that is our strongest riches. Okay, with the AlefBet, I call it the powerhouse, right? And the mother is the strong solutions. So what are solutions? Water represents current, like the electric current. You see it? Alternate current. And also current is an electric symbol that is represented by the mem. It's represented by that little figure that you see up there, what I call, let me see, the mem, all the way at the bottom, yeah. All the way at the bottom, the other side there is the mem. You can see that in the, all the way there, number 40, at the bottom as mem. And that little thing like that is the current. It's like an electric current. So the powerhouse, which is the representative of the Father, he provides an electric current. You know, he provides a strong current, and that's the mother. So the powerhouse provides for the mother, and the mother has the strong current, right? And that current is the one we take and we spread it to the world. This electric current by which we energize all the economies in the world. So that's how everything works, you know, in the alphabet. So that's our riches. We are wordectric. We are wind power in the sense that the breath of God gives us the neshama, you know, and then the word of God keeps empowering us. We receive the power plant, and the power plant provides for the electric current, okay, and that's the mother, and then we receive from the mother that current, and we will spread it out and energize the whole world with it. That is our riches, that we are with this power plant, because we are in the powerhouse receiving the strong, you know, solutions, the strong current, you know, from the mother that are being provided by the powerhouse. So everything is in there. You see how everything works? So when you understand that, and then everything has to point back to the source. Okay, that's why that verse is in there in Isaiah 8:20. To the Torah and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. All right? Let me make sure I'm being heard. I hope you're hearing me, right? Okay, then yeah, you're hearing me. So that's what it's talking about. So the Torah and to the testimony. You know, if they do not speak according to this davar, it's because there is no light in them. Light is energy, all right? So what it's talking about, I will explain it as you're hearing the message that I'm giving with Brian today this afternoon. But the whole idea is that everything in the Bible, no matter what kind of a miracle or thing, is to point you, to bring you back to the Torah, you know, to the Torah and to the testimony. The Torah are the teachings, you know, that orally regulate all humanity, right? The teachings orally regulate all humanity. But what are the teachings? Are the testimony of the teachings? They talk about the alphabet. And the alphabet, what does it mean? It means father. It means strong tower. It means powerhouse. So everything that has ever happened is to point you back to the Torah, and so that you will be faithful to the letters of the Torah, to the alphabet that talks about the Father, to acquire the mindset of the Father of words, to know and appreciate words and meanings and definitions above everything else, because from there it emanates. So everything that you see in the Bible, the parting of the Red Sea, I already explained to you that the whole reason why when Moses parted the Red Sea and then he said, behold the completeness, the salvation of the Lord, what completes you, what rescues you, and what makes everything keep going for you. And then he pointed to the Red Sea opening up, and I explained to you the meaning of the whole miracle is to take you back to the Torah, because that Red Sea was a place made of reeds. That's what the papyrus and the paper is made. And out of the reeds also, the little pen to write was the original pen that they used from the reed. So they were saying that the nation of Israel that was crossing, that was the people that God was choosing to write the Torah. They were going to want to perpetuate the Torah. And the parting of the Red Sea is just like we open up a Torah, the waves part, and you are saved because you're walking in the scriptures there. So everything, that miracle was not to point you just so that you can make a movie of the Ten Commandments, you know, which are the Testament, and that's the end of it. No, it's just so that you will go back to the Torah. So everything, every miracle I've ever seen is to point you back to the Torah. that the Torah is our source of solution, is what rescue. That's what I call that the papyrus solution. The Red Sea means the papyrus solution. So that's how you have to tell the scriptures. Not have to just leave it in the miracle, but bring the miracle back to the Torah. Because that's the whole, everything is like that. You gotta go back to the drawing board, back to the manual, because that's how the business is run. Not by just thinking in the great miracles, but in thinking in the papyrus solution, in the paper solution. And every company has their own paper solution for whatever product. So you see what I'm talking about? Even the miracle of the rock that followed them in the wilderness, the rock that gave them water. Remember there was this rock, that provided water for them. Wherever they went, this rock was following them, this rock was providing water. What is the meaning of that? The stone that gives water, okay? Is that just for us just to think that we need to have that? No, the whole idea is to point us back again to the Torah. And how does it point us back to the Torah? I explained to you that the word stone, okay, is aban. It has the AlefBet, and then it has Ben, which is the son. The AlefBet is the father, and the Ben is the son. Put them together, joining the Bet, the system as one in the middle, as aben, that's a stone, okay? Because when you have the father, the alphabet, and you are the son, that means you're taking the father's instruction, and you are the son that carries that upon you, so you become an aben, you become a stone. But when you know all the alphabet, and you want to perpetuate, because alefbet means a strong house, and son means a house continuous, a house continuity. So the son is just the continuity of the house, right? Of the schematics and the blueprints. So when you put it together, you have a strong house continuity. So what happens is when you are the one that's been hired by the boss, or you inherit your father's business and you learn how to run the business, then you are a stone, because that's a combination of those. You're a stone, but you're a stone in the sense that you're a solid worker in which that company stands to grow and stand there for a long time. That's one of the aspects of being a stone. You're a rock. But also, you provide solutions for the company to be able to run. And solutions identifies with water. That was the idea. God gave them the French benefit of a stone, provided them water, because all of them, by taking the Torah, were strong foundations to provide solutions for the Father, for the AlefBet, to be able to display himself. Because they behave as a stone of solution for him. He provided a stone, that provided water for them. So it wasn't the end of the miracle, wasn't that. It was to point you back. That when we take the alphabet, and we are the children of the alphabet, that's our aben. We are a rock of solid thing for something to run. Any company can run like that, and we provide solutions. That's the rock. So that's how it has to be taught. If anybody just teaches you something just to leave you in the miracle, and it does not bring you back to the Torah, they have robbed you of your heritage. And that's what we're going to be hearing in the little sermon right now, okay? So that's the whole idea. So not to take you back. So if they tell you something of the Torah, and they don't bring you back to the testimony of the function of each one of the letters, so you will remain in the mindset of God, they are robbed you of the fellowship with your Maker. And that's the beauty of this. So if you want the strongest davar that you can find, and that's your greatest thing that you want to enjoy, then you will enjoy this. And that's what I'm going to share with you right now. All right, let me give you a little bit of what I said here. I put the first thing when I introduced when Brian, we just brought the computer, I said this part first, and then we'll see the other part. Let me get to, this part here.
Mm-hmm. The drivers.
So today is Sunday, January 24, and my good brother and friend Brian decided to donate to the COVID-19 group a nice backup system here for W10 with Windows 10 in it, and that's what we're configuring it right now. He brought it today because I had a scare of my life this week. My computer went dead on me for about 3 hours. I thought I lost everything, so So he had told me about this, so I told him he decided to bring it today, so we're setting it up so we can have a backup, because there's a lot of lessons already that I had taught. And the last thing I want for us to be lost, so we're going to have everything prepared. So that's what we're doing right now here. In the meantime, we ordered a little food to eat from Pollo Loco. Not Pollo Loco, Pollo Campero. pollo campero. So we're having some empanadas with chicken, some flan. This is a little chata that we order. So we're gonna enjoy that in a minute, but at least we have a little system here that's gonna help us keep everything in order. And if something breaks down, we're gonna have a backup system. So that's kind of nice. All right, here we go. Start. Okay, so here we are, and I'm doing a little reading on the scriptures today to test it out. This is Sunday, and this is my main screen here that I'm using for my home. This is as I'm looking at the camera. When you see me looking up, it's because I'm looking at the monitor. That's where I'm reading the scripture from. And this is a very big screen monitor, so it makes it easy for me to read it from all the way here. And so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to read this, and I want you to focus as we read this 50 verses, okay? And here, David is talking about, I believe he has just won a battle here. It says, for the leader by David, the servant of Adonai, who addressed the words of his song to Adonai on the day when Adonai delivered him from the power of all his enemies, including from the power of Shaul. That's Saul, as you know it. You know, the one that was king, he said. And then, you know, that's talking about that. But the thing is, so he's composed this, and he's talking about, you know, look at the picturesque, imagine the language that he used, you know, all the stuff that he paints with it. But the thing with David is this. What David teaches you, he teaches you to use your imagery, your ability to make images in your mind, but to take you back to the alphabet, to the AlefBet, because everything comes from the alphabet. Remember, from the letters, from all the letters, an image can be formed. You know, an imagination can surface up. So, through the tales that people tell you, you know, your mind starts beginning an idea of what you're trying to tell them, because that's how we communicate. But the whole idea is that when they have a perfect image in their head of what you're telling them, the purpose is not to worship the image, but that image to bring them back to the letters and to the functionality of the letters. Okay, so that's the whole thing that we need to learn. So that's because the whole idea is to tell a narrative so that you will just be in love with the idea of the image that narrative brought you. You know, that's the end of the power of the word. And ever working in you to make you, you know, be the electric and wordectric character that you were supposed to be. That's what we and I are. So the whole thing is for us, like when you go to work. I was talking to Brian here, he's with me today. Now when you go to work, you know, they give you the picture of the stuff that you're going to have to be making. Let's say if you work for a car manufacturing company, so they give you, you know, the whole setup, the blueprints and everything. The schematics, you know, what have you. So you know what it looks like, you know how to put it together. But in the end, once the car is built up, you know, comes out of the assembly line, the whole idea is not for them to fall in love with the car, but to keep looking at the schematics, keep looking at the blueprint, keep looking at the manual, because that way they continue to be producers, you know, continue to be the manpower in that company for that particular thing. So the whole thing is not to fall in love with the work of their hands, but to always venerate and respect and fortify the letters, you know, the alphabet that gave them the ability to be producers. That's the whole idea. That's exactly the reason why the alphabet is given. You know, not for us to fall in love with the things that can be produced by it, but to stay in love, you know, with the alphabet, because alphabet in Hebrew means father, and the alphabet is the founder and father of everything that's been made by the word. You know, period. You cannot argue that. That's just a plain fact, empirical fact. That everything that is made by the word is formed by the alphabet and rearrangements of the alphabet. So when the Bible says that the alphabet, or the AlefBet in Hebrew, is the father and founder of everything, that's a pure fact. Because that's how it is done. So that's the whole idea. So keep us venerating the alphabet, because the alphabet is the founder. And keep on fortifying the order of the AlefBet that is given to us. And that's exactly what everybody does in every company that they work for. They don't fall in love with the work of their hands. They just keep on venerating the alphabet that made them be producers of that particular product and service. So that's the whole thing. So whenever you preach something that
brings an imaginary world, either in your mind or the things that you make in this world, and to just have you fall in love with the thing that came out of it, but not with the word that helped you to fashion it and put it together, then they're doing a disservice to you. Okay, so this is what I want you to understand. As I'm reading this, he's got great imagination, the way he paints everything in there. But at the end of the day, what he wants you to do is fall in love with the alphabet. That's why he wrote Psalm 119, David did, which is the longest song in the Bible, the longest chapter in the Bible, 176 verses. Each one dedicated, 8 verses dedicated to each letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Because at the end of the day, that's what he wants you to venerate, the alphabet, the AlefBet, because that's how you spell father in Hebrew. AlefBet means a strong tower. I call it powerhouse for our modern times. So he's the powerhouse. We are wordectric beings. He is the power source, and we are the power plant. Once we receive the word, we are energized and empowered by that word to make, create, sustain, restore, renew. Do all of that for all the economies in the world. So once you have your understanding that that's the real secret of your existence, for you to live connected to the power source, which is the alphabet, and you'll be the power plant receiving that. Anybody else that tries to take you away from that is stealing from your true heritage. Okay, and trying to make you believe that you're something else other than what God made you to be. So you are the energizing and empowering power plant for the economy of revealing his character of completeness, which celebrates the FMR, be fruitful, multiply, and replenish, okay, which is what the Bible says at the beginning. But once you're not in that economy, you also, there's still the energizing and empowerment power plant to energize all the lame economies, what I call the mule. The materialistic undertaking leading everybody, or the manpower upheld lame economy. All the economies, that are in this retarded garden that I have told you before. Power plant that to energize all the lame economies by manpower. Because all the materialistic undertaking leading everybody, or the manpower upheld lame economy. And replenish the economies, manpower. So are in this retarded garden that I have told you before. That to energize all the lame economies by manpower. A wordectric being that is empowered by words. But your true heritage is taken from you, because then you begin to identify with the work of your hands. You don't go back to venerate the alphabet as your power source. You fall in love with the picture. And that's why any religion that tells you that you were made for a better place, is lying to you. You were made just for the power source, which is the AlefBet, and you were made in his image, because you can receive the AlefBet and you can drive whatever picture is bringing to you to make in this world. That's how powerful we are. So as wordectric beings, we are limitless, because God can do everything to reveal himself through us, and every engineer, every CEO, and every fund in this world can do anything with us, to build up their dreams and ideas that they have. So that's limitless. So what? We are limitless, really. Okay, and therefore everything belongs to us, because everything comes out of the wordectric energy of our souls. Okay, so once we establish there, everybody else that tells you, you were made for a better place, like go to heaven, you get a mansion in the sky, you were not made for a place. You were made to be connected with a power source that energizes everything in this world. And once you are there, there's no limit to what can be done with your capacity as well as a davarian or wordarian, what I call you a wordectric being. So let me start reading this, okay? This is the share for today, so we can have this, because this is my first run test that I'm doing with my new computer that's been donated. Okay, so we're gonna start reading, and he's gonna do the rolling down for me. Okay, so Psalm 18. I'm starting with verse 1 over there. I'm gonna do the introduction again from the top. It says, for the leader by David, the servant of Adonai, who addressed the words of this song to Adonai on the day when Adonai delivered him from the power of all his enemies, including from the power of Shaul, he said. Before I say this, I don't know if you knew this, but King was the one that took over the kingdom of the Jebusites. The domain of the Jebusites he took over, and he became king because he defeated them. So the domain of the economy of the Jebusites, he got facing his time. Those were the main city, and Jebusites come from Jebus. 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 And I think Homer uses that a lot when he's trying to refer to Jesus. Jebus. Jebus. He doesn't say Jesus, he says Jebus. It's the business of Jesus, I guess. I don't know why what's that program that the Homer is in?
Simpsons?
Simpsons, yeah. I don't know why the Simpsons use that reference to, but we are also in this day and age. We are in the biggest picel that uses the cherry root that's dominating the whole world right now, which is the Jebus, the Jesus business. And that really was taking over a lot of, because it's an easy one. It's just an idea. It has with a lot of pictures that you have to hold. You have to think of a cross. You have to think of bathing yourself in the blood of Christ. There's a lot of things, a lot of imagery involved. So your imagination has to sustain a lot of stuff. You got to think that there's a heaven waiting for you. It's a wholesale of what I call the fringe benefits. The fringe benefits is whatever's good for the body of flesh. So that religion, just like any other religion, offers you, resurrection, offers you a good place to go to heaven, where you can have a mansion in the skies. Nothing goes old. So everything is for the fringe benefits of the comfort of the body. Okay, so that is all imagery, and it's helped by your power of imagination. Okay, in the Torah, that's not what you need to do. You need to venerate and fortify the AlefBet. That's why in Isaiah, I believe Isaiah chapter 8, it says, to the law and to its testimonies. Isaiah says, if they do not speak to you this way, it's because there's no light in them. So every prophet of God, everything was to teach you the law, the Torah, to the Torah and to its testimony. What's the testimony? The function of each letter. Because each one of the letters of the Hebrew alphabet has a function. The Aleph is the head of an ox. It stands for strength. It stands for power. Okay? And the Bet is a house or a floor plan. It stands for schematics, blueprint, structure, building, tower. So when you put together the powerful house, that's how you spell father. AlefBet, that means father. So there's a function. You cannot just be a father as a sound. You got to be a father because you get to perform a certain function. You qualify as a father when you are able to provide a strong house. So in the Hebrew, there's all these things. So when you read it and you're explaining it, you're bringing people back to the letters again. So that's why Isaiah says, to the law, to the Torah, and to its testimony. If they don't talk to you that way to bring you back, they give you a story. But then after that, to bring you back to the function of the letters, there's no light in them. They're not empowering you to be in the power, because light is energy. So the whole idea of saying something in the Torah is for you to be energized in the ruach, in the spirit, in the head, in the mindset of God. So you never leave it. You will work for a company, it's for you to stay on the same page with the manual of what is written, by the founder. So this whole idea. So this is the whole idea. So let me get going now, because I'm too excited on this one now. Now verse 1 says, I love you, Adonai, my strength. Adonai is my rock, my fortress, and deliverer. Okay? So here he's giving three things. My rock, something that is solid. And he's talking about my fortress. That's a strong tower right there, the AlefBet again. Okay? And deliverer, all the faculties of what God does. He rescues you. A father does, he's a strong provider. He's a fortress, he's a strong house. And he rescues you, and he takes you out, delivers you. My God, my rock, in whom I find shelter. Again, the shelter again, a house, a place of protection. My shield, the power that saves me. My stronghold. These all things that you're using. You start using your imagination. Verse 2 says, I call on Adonai, who is worthy of praise, and I am saved from my enemies. Okay, and then the next verse goes, for the cords of death surrounded me. The floods of Belial terrified me. Then the next verse start rolling up a little bit more. Okay. The ropes of Sheol were wrapped around me. The snares of death lay there before me. In my distress, I called to Adonai. I cry out to my God. Out of his temple he heard my voice. My cry reached his ears. Okay? And all of this is the temple. You know, because the temple is a place that is consecrated just for the mindset of God. Okay? So what have I been telling you about every building that's consecrated for certain business, engineering business, mechanic business, all these are consecrated for certain things, certain idea to energize you to run that economy. So every business, every davar, you know, which is word for Hebrew, which has the dalet for the door, has the bet for a business or a tower, and the resh for the head of the ruler. So the access to the house of rules, which means administration of an economy. Every word, that's what it stands for. Every word is an administration of economy for a particular subject. So every davar is a temple of somebody's idea. So when he says out of his temple, he's referring out of his davar, out of his word that he has encapsulated and that he has received and that he's trusting in. That is the temple of David. Because his whole davar, his whole word, is surrounded by the mindset of God. So he's using this imagery, but this imagery is pointing back to the word and to the letters. So that's the importance of knowing the Hebrew alphabet, so that you will keep its order. Okay? So when you know the alphabet, then you can be in the same line, in the same page of what he's trying to tell you. He's not trying to make you think of a temple so you can create a temple in your head and you think, oh, that's that temple. That's not what he's referring to. He wants you to connect, because at the end of the day, the davar has to be the beta meknash. That's what the word for temple. You know, the third temple is supposed to be built because we are only, when the third temple is built upon this earth, we are only projecting the fact that we already have the beta mekdash. The davar in us is completely dedicated to his mindset. And when the temple is going to be projected out there, that's how it is. The owner of every company, if he's an engineer, he's got his whole beta mekdash, his whole temple dedicated to engineering, and then he hires all the people to project that temple that was in his head. Because everything is a projection of what's already completely real inside of you. So when the third temple is going to be built, it's because we have all come into agreement that the mindset of the alphabet is what rules and energizes everything, and we are able to project it. And all the nations are going to be gathered to that, because it's the one that is starting right now with this servant David of this hour to understand and to project that and to reveal how the connections are. Okay? And so let me see. So we were on the temple. What verse are we in here? Yeah, verse 7. Out of his temple, the davar that is dedicated to his mindset, right? The access to the building of the head of the mindset, the Resh's head. Out of his temple, he heard my voice. My cry reached his ears. Then the earth quaked and shook. The foundations of the mountains trembled. They were shaken because he was angry. Smoke arose in his nostrils. Out of his mouth came devouring fire. Sparks blazed forth from him. Okay, thank you. He lowered. Okay, he lowered heaven and came down. I love this passage. He lowered heaven, you know, and came down with thick darkness under his feet. He rode on a cherub. We heard cherub sometimes. He rode on a cherub. He flew, swooping down on the wings of the wind. He made darkness his hiding place. This word darkness, his hiding place, that means the word Zephaniah. The Zephaniah means the king or lord of darkness. Contrary to what people want to give that title to, the Shaitan or the Satan. No, God doesn't share his title with anybody. You know, he does everything in secret. You know, he makes darkness his secret place. You know, so with thick darkness on it, says he lowered heaven and came down with thick darkness under his feet. He rode on a cherub, swooping down on the wings of the wind. He made darkness his hiding place. His canopy, thick clouds, his hiding place. His canopy, thick clouds, dark with water. From the brightness before him, there broke through his thick clouds, hailstones, and fiery coals. Adonai also thundered in heaven. A high Elyon sounded his voice, hailstones and fiery coals. He sent out arrows and scattered them, shot out lightning and routed them. He directed the lightning. So in other words, he's an electrifying character that knows how to control his Tesla lightning. And I like to think it says and where are we on verse 15, right? And routed them. Let me take a minute here because that's how God controls everything. I've been telling you a story about how in Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 18, God says to Jeremiah, because he advises not to think of him as a child. He has put his words, Lord, I put my words in your mouth, and now you have become, he told him, a fortified city, iron pillar, and a brazen wall, a wall made out of bronze. So he was three things by that davar that God had prepared. He had prepared him to be a fortified city that could argue and bring down, all the ideologies that people were hanging on to, because he was going to destroy all the stupid ideologies that did not point it back to the AlefBet, but only pointed out to a cherry root. Cherry root's the word imagination. So people are given over to their imagination. That's what everybody does in this world. Somebody imagines something and people go work for somebody's imagination. But that imagination does not connect you. Does not bring light. Because the word is your power source, is your light, is your life saver, is your light. Okay? So that's the thing. But God has a way of, even in this electric garden, he has what I call from Aleph to Tab. Because Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and Tab, which is T for us, is the last letter in the Hebrew alphabet. So he has two big geniuses by which he has given electric power, to this mulectic world, to the mule, to the manpower, of hell, lame economies. He has used two people, Albert Einstein, that starts with an A, and Tesla, that finishes with a Tab. Within those two geniuses, all the world has been in power. Albert Einstein started with nuclear power. So, he got an AlefBet that made him famous. The AlefBet had an AB, atomic bomb. He got an atomic bomb. He got an AlefBet that made him famous. But with the discovery of the atomic bomb, he also discovered the nuclear power. And that nuclear power had provided a lot of energy to energize the cities. Plenty of cities depend on nuclear power. And Tesla is the one at the end who has the commitment at the end. That's the letter of the commitment, the ideal one, the target, the aim of creating that energy, because Tesla is for the top. The aim was for him, he had the dream of providing this electricity for everybody for free. So he created the Tesla Tower. Okay, you set up an antenna, you get your own free electricity for your own electric house, in this garden. But he uses these two people. And I believe Einstein, both of his parents were Jewish. So he even comes from the chosen people. I don't know too much about Tesla, but in any case, but Tesla is for the top. But within these two geniuses, he provided electricity for this whole world. The electricity that the people are employing now. So even there, the Aleph Tab, God is showing how much he controls. He put people, from one at the beginning, Albert, and Einstein, which begins with with an iron, with an iron spelled with an A-Y-I-N. So even his last name is the A there for the Aleph. So when you see it, these are things that you can connect, as you can see. So even there, God has that stuff, But now he's bringing us back to the fact that we are wordectric. And had Tesla or Einstein did not find any souls or any people to believe in their dreams, then we who are wordectric would never have built, their stuff that they came out with. So all these people, as famous as they are, Albert Einstein and Tesla, they needed us who are wordectric to be able to create their projects. You understand? So that's why we are higher than all of them. Because we are word power. We are energized by the word. The entrance of that word give it energy, give it empowerment unto the simple. So that's our inheritance. So we are higher than all of them. Okay? But that's just to give you an example how God does everything to point back to him. So I can tell you, I take the imagery apart of the world that has been given to you, and I'm taking you back to your power source with the AlefBet. To recognize, my friend, that you are above everything else that has come because we have labor on it. In other words, it's the work of our hands. If something is made by the work of our hands, that work can never be higher than us. That work depends on us. And for you to say that I need to depend on it, you have made yourself become stupid. You can never do that. And the Bible does not allow you to do that. And whenever you do that, it's for your own, demise. You have doomed yourself. You have all of a sudden made yourself dependent upon the things that depends on you. God never does that stupid thing. And he doesn't want you to do that, but people keep on doing it over and over again. They're sustaining man-made religions, and they make that religion higher than themselves, when without you sustaining in your mind, you will not go anywhere. But the fact is that we are wordectric, and everything runs by the AlefBet and understanding of words, okay? So, let me go
16.
to 16, yeah.
The channels.
The channels of water appeared. The foundations of the world were exposed. At your rebuke, Adonai, the blast of breath from your nostrils. Okay, says, he sent from on high. He took and pulled me out of deep water. He rescued me from my powerful enemy, from those who hated me, for they were stronger than I. They came against me on my day of disaster, but Adonai was my support. He brought me out to an open place. He rescued me because he took pleasure in me. This is all David talking about himself, okay? Pleasure in me, okay. Then verse 21. Adonai rewarded me for my uprightness. He repaid me because my hands were clean. For I have kept the ways of Adonai. I have not done evil by leaving my God. So by forsaking the alphabet and thinking that you can be better than a wordectric being, by all the pesel, that means the narrative that supports a lackadaisical, that's PSL, that's the PSL, that's the word for Hebrew for we call carved image, or God said not worship any image.
Graven image.
Thank you for the word. The graven image, exactly. In other words, but the graven image starts with the peb, where somebody has the mouth, has to say something, and has to give you support to what he's saying, and then he has to make that a legal thing, because that's how people walk away from the alphabet, because they think an image that somebody's presenting has a better deal to offer than to just studying the scriptures and being happy with knowing the order of the 304,805 sequences of the letter of the alphabet, which is what comprises the Torah. So if you think you have found something better by somebody else's narrative, you lose out. Are you going to go worship the work of your hands? Because you're going to have to sustain something by your imagination, and you're going to depend on it. So that's the whole thing. So I call it PSL. I call it the proclamation for the support of a lackadaisical idea or image. Lackadaisical means without spirit or without liveliness. That's the word lackadaisical. So they produce something that cannot sustain itself if it's not by your own imagination. So you have to keep repeating on yourself. You got to keep on believing the same little routes or teaching it to your next generation. Just like people believe in Santa Claus. One generation passes after the other, and this has been going around for a long time. So, but it has to be sustained by the imagery of people, because they just want to believe that some guy in a red suit is what gives the gifts, because they don't want to admit that they are the ones that give the gifts. So they want to give the credit to some imaginary thing. That's exactly what people do with religion. They are the ones that support that this mulek the garden, but they want to give the credit to some other god that somebody made. But everything goes back to the alphabet. That's our power source, and because of that, we are wordectric, and we are able to do everything, and everything is ours. And that's what the Bible is telling you, okay? And so where were we on this one? 23? Okay. For all his rulings were before me. I did not distance his regulations from me. I was pure-hearted with him and kept myself from my sin. Okay. And verse 25 or 24 says, hence Adonai repaid me for my uprightness, according to the purity of my hands in his view, With the merciful, you are merciful. With a man who is sincere, you are sincere. With the pure, you are pure. With the crooked, you are cunning. Okay, let's go all the way through. Okay. You know, God deals with you according to your ways. You know, you're very deceitful. He shows you the deceitful way in which he guides you to do what, you know, what's going to destroy you. But he does it in a deceitful manner, as I shared to you the other day with the demise of Ahab. You know, I shared to you about how he had invited the other king, Jehoshaphat, I think, to go and battle, you know, with him, and then God said the way he was going to convince, because God had planned the death of King Ahab. You know, that he was going to convince him, he was going to put a deceitful spirit, you know, in the mouth of all his prophets. So those were his broadcasting systems. And they all lie, and they said to him, yeah, you go, you're going to win. The whole battle is yours, you know. And so, because this guy Ahab is very crooked. So, God, deceitful and crooked guy, you know. So, God had to use something that went along with his character. So, whatever the way, that's how God treats you, you know. So, that's what he's trying to say here. 28? Okay, let me get here, okay. Okay, yeah. People afflicted, it says, yeah, people afflicted, you save. Okay, people afflicted, you save. But haughty eyes or proud people, you humble. For you, Adonai, light my lamp, Adonai. My God, lights up my darkness. With you, I can run through a whole troop of men. With my God, I can leap a wall. Okay, see all these things. Okay, he feels like a Superman, and he feels like he's unstoppable. And that's exactly how I feel by understanding that I'm a wordectric being. Because once you understand that you were made for the power source that be in the alphabet, and you are the wordectric plant, my friends, nobody can fool you. No religion. I don't care if it's Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, no other religion can come, you know, or Muslim or anything can come and take you away from your heritage of being in the Father and being, you know, being in tune with the powerhouse, you know, and seeing that you're not limited by anything, you know, you're not bounded by anything, you know, and then you can command everything else because nobody can scare you. Nothing can be taken away from you because, you know, you establishing the AlefBet, and that's the whole idea of this whole thing, to understand that, to understand where our heritage stands in, okay? So where we at right now?
31.
31, thank you. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of Adonai has been tested by fire. He shields all. He's a defense. In other words, all who take refuge in him. For who is God but Adonai? Who is a rock but our God? And Adonai here referring to Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, okay? Which is translated in the King James as the Lord. Okay, but who is God? It said now, outside of him, there's no Trinity with him. There's just him. You know, I'm just going blunt here. You know, all the other stuff has to be sustained by the imagery of man. But for who is God but Adonai? And who is a rock but our God? There's no other rock but Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh. Okay, it is God who girds me with strength. He makes my way go straight. He makes me swift, sure-footed as a deer, and enables me to stand on my high places. Okay, and then we go to, okay, verse 35. He trains my hands for war. You know, he trains my hands for war until my arms can bend a bow of bronze. Okay, imagine this. It's not like David ever went and he grabbed somebody's bronze war and was able to do that, you know, break it or something like that. But he's declaring in the fortification that you have with the word, you know, because there are ideologies that people cannot seem to release themselves from. In other words, they're bound by their religion, they're bound by their imagination, you know, and those are like iron bars for them because they can't seem to escape. That's the only reality they have. Things that have to be the way I've been taught. If I leave a man, what's going to happen to me? So that's like an iron thing. But when you are in your AlefBet, but you understand that none of these things have any sway or power over you. What is an iron wall in ideology for somebody else, to you is just a screen of smoke. You pass right through it. It doesn't affect you one bit because you're on a higher scale. And that's the imagery that's bringing you back to understand that there's more power in being established as a wordectric being in the power source of the alphabet, because then you run through everything else that's tidying up it. Because everybody else that's outside of the Torah is in jail in some sort of ideology, in some sort of religion, in some sort of constitution. You have pledged your allegiance to your country. You have pledged your allegiance to the creed and belief of your churches. You have created all that, and that's your jail of your spirit, and that's why you're limited. And so when the nations of the whole world come up with stupid ideas of how to dominate you, you easily follow them because you're already shackled by your ideology. Your ideology is your prison, and you cannot escape. And so that's what he's talking about. When I'm established with him, anything that is hard for you, I just break it in pieces. It's nothing to me. I don't have to abide by it. I don't have to be sustained by it. I don't have to believe it because I know what I am. So that's the strength that he's trying to manifest here. All right, so where we at?
36.
36. You give me your shield, which is salvation, which is completeness. Once I know I am complete, my beloved is mine and I am his. And he feedeth me among the lilies. That's the song that I used to sing. My beloved is mine and I am his. Oh, my beloved is mine and I am his. Once you know that there's the AlefBet, the power source, is mine, and I'm the power plant, and I'm his, guess, nothing else is needed. That's it. You're in the perfect union, in the perfect marriage. You're an impenetrable defense city. You're an iron pillar that can sustain the word. You are a bronze wall, a brass wall that cannot be penetrated. Okay? And so that's the beauty of this whole thing, You have given me completeness. You have given me salvation because I know this. I know that's how it is. Therefore I have a shield. I have protection. This all has to do with understanding things that way, okay? So where we are on this?
Still on 36.
36? Okay. You have given me your shield, which is salvation. Your right hand holds me up. Your humility makes me great. That words that said, your gentleness has made me great. It's in the King James Bible. And I like that. It says that everything that man has to create has to bring comfort. Otherwise, if you create something that makes life harder, people don't gonna buy it. So, so all those stuff that God deemed, to reveal Himself, and write this down through His prophet Moses, to bring it to us. Such humility, and yet that humility that He showed has made me great. Because once I grab a hold of what He was trying to tell me about Himself, about me, once I know, what God is and who I am in relationship to Him, once I know He is the power source and I'm His power plant, hey, my friends, you cannot touch me. You can't touch this, like it says a hammer. Then where we are now. Okay, see, so
37.
37 now. Okay, you lengthen the steps I can take, yet my ankles do not turn. I pursue my enemies and overtook them without turning back until they were destroyed. I crushed them so that they can get up. They have fallen under my feet. For you brace me with strength for the battle and bend down my adversaries beneath me. You made my enemies turn their backs in flight, and I destroy those who hated me. Okay, and when He refers to the story, those who hate you are the ones that are against admitting the fact that we are all come from the power source of the alphabet, and without it, we cannot do anything without words. So more than anything, you depend on words. So even if you suffer a big case in which you're hit in the head and you get to suffer temporary amnesia, you forget your name, you forget everything, A lot of them still remember the alphabet. They can still can talk to you. They can still put words together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can still use of davars, because the last thing that you cannot get rid of the alphabet. You may even forget your religion, where you were or you were married to. It happens to people. It happens. But they don't forget how to communicate, because there's still our wordectric. The alphabet's still working in them. Okay? Because we were made for that. So without words, you cannot exist. You cannot be there for a second. So it is the word that remains up to the last minute, and it's always you're always being empowered through words. Okay? And whenever you lose a disconnect, that's when your whole being begins to completely be. So that's why the AlefBet is above all religions, above everything, because it's the power behind every word that is formed and is delivered. Okay? So where we are on this one?
42?
42. They cry out, but there was no one to help, even to Adonai, but he didn't answer. You know, I pulverized them like dust in the wind, threw them out like mud in the streets. All right. So you gotta understand that once you have the davar set up in you, the temple, the bet that ignites, the word that is just surrounded with the mindset of God, then you can pulverize everybody else's religion. Everything that everybody is sustaining as necessary, that somebody came up with the idea, you know. Imagine that, because they say that the Muslim religion was written by a guy that couldn't read and write. How is that going to excel the alphabet? You know what I'm saying? Somebody, okay, I want to make a religion, you know, a guy that couldn't read and write, but he wrote something, right? So, but how is that going to make people say that, you know, that the alphabet is really the foundation and everything, when you're exalting and trusting somebody that says that was illiterate, you know, or an alphabet, I like this spicy, an alfabeto, that means without the AlefBet. And I think that's how you say it in Hebrew too. When you're illiterate, in Hebrew you say an alphabet, that means without the AlefBet. A person that is illiterate cannot read right. So somebody whose word needs an alphabet that doesn't have the AlefBet, how can he present you the AlefBet? So that's why the Muslim cannot bring you to that, because you say it was written by God that didn't have the AlefBet. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's what they're saying. An alfabeto means without the AlefBet, you know, and an alphabet in Hebrew is without the AlefBet. So somebody didn't have the AlefBet, but I started teaching this alphabet in August of this last year, in the month of Ab, the month of the Father, the month of the AlefBet. And I had no idea that was from the AlefBet until about 3 months down the line. Then I realized, hey, it was pure coincidence that I started teaching the alphabet, the AlefBet of David, because I started with some. I dedicated 22 days of fasting for each letter, and I was broadcasting live every night, because I thought, I'm going to teach you the alphabet, not like the schools. The only thing that prompted me to do that was it was like in August 10 or something like that. Yeah, that was August 10. I started that. I said 22 days left in August. I'm going to dedicate this fast to the 22 letters of the alphabet, and we're going to be reading through Psalm 119. He said, but I'm going to introduce you to the alphabet so you will stay in the character of the Father. Because all nations, imagine the power of God to hide, because God says, I'm going to hide myself. He never says he's going to go away from his creation. He says, I'm going to hide. That means I'm going to be there in such a way that you cannot see me, but I'm there. You know, I'm hiding. You know, it's just your job to come and seek me. Hide and seek. He plays the game, hide and seek. But he's hiding. He's there. Very close, you know. But amazing how he can hide, because imagine somebody that calls himself the alphabet, okay? And then he makes it mandatory for all nations to learn the alphabet, because isn't it true? All nations is mandatory for all nations to learn the name of God, which is Ab, which is Father. Okay, but they don't know, not necessarily teach them the meaning. You know, only the Hebrews know that AlefBet together is Father. For all the other nations, they just know that it's an alphabet that they have to learn, because that's the base, that's the foundation to learn all the other words. And they find it that it's mandatory, because without the alphabet, they cannot indoctrinate people so they can run their economies, them electric economies, okay? So it is very important for all of you to have the mandatory. So imagine God forces everybody that is mandatory to learn his name, Father. But yet you don't get to the character of the Father. That's how he hides. Amazing. You know, it's like it's hiding right in plain sight. The first thing they give you is the alphabet. But they teach you the alphabet to abandon the Father. And I like the word abandon because the AB at the beginning has the AlefBet, abandon. But I began to teach you the alphabet last year on August 10 for you to abide in the Father. And that's my difference. I teach you the alphabet willingly for you to abide in the alphabet and never lose sight of it, while the rest of the nations teach you the alphabet for you to abandon the Father and go call something else in this world my Father. Without you, I don't have a status. Without you, I haven't achieved success. Stupid people. Abandon, the original Avodah Hashem, that means service of God, to an Avodah Sarah, as foreign servants. It's not necessary to walk away from the alphabet that is given to you to go call something else that is the work of a man's hand. Your Father, come on! Isn't that something, But that's why God is amazing. He hides himself in plain sight. You can never walk away. He has told you without the alphabet, you're not going to be able to lift your economy, and you still do not come to the mindset and the heart of the Father in this world. What's wrong with you people? Isn't that God that's what amazes me about God. But praise be his name, that he's got that power. So in plain sight, that's why he says they stumble at noonday. That means it's a clear day that he's there. Because the alphabet is surrounding us. But we don't see the character of the Father. Okay? Because nobody teaches you. Everybody has been abandoned. They have been taught to abandon the Father and call something else their parent. The thing by which they reach status and get something in this world. And so it's time to come back to the app. That's why you think this whole pandemic is calling you back to your homes. Because it's a call of the Almighty to come back to Him, your original strong tower, your original power source, so that you can be where David is at this hour. And nothing, will be able to scare you. Nothing will be able to make you afraid. Great peace have they which love Allah, and nothing shall offend them. Well, we're almost here at the end, so where we are right now? Here?
44 on top.
44, thank you. You also freed me from the quarrels of my people. Like everybody's discussing right now about the virus, the vaccine, all these things, which have no sway, nothing to do, I play along those games to keep you aware of how the world is going to confuse. But to me, personally, it has no effect on me, But this is how God keeps them, Keeps them with a balance of adversity and prosperity. Days of good, days of bad, everything. So he says in the Bible, in the day of adversity, in the day of prosperity, rejoice. But in the day of adversity, consider. Because God has placed one against the other, so that man will find nothing after himself. So the way the AlefBet runs everything, he gives you days of a lot of prosperity according to why you think is prosperity, so you have a good time. And then he brings you a lot of days that have nothing to do with the way you define prosperity, and it's opposite to that. So then you're trembling. So, like the case right now with the election. We have 4 years of Trump. Maybe we're going to have another 4, And a lot of your religions were prophesying whatever spirit they ate, the spirit of beings or whatever spirit they had, that for sure we're going to have another 4 years. All this thing has been decreed. God has spoken to me. So you see, all they did is they made a fool of themselves. And they made a lot of less non-believers now because they these guys are just full of garbage. They just don't deliver. Whatever God was talking to them, and now what happened? Okay, because God is not obligated to listen to the people that call themselves their own prophets, for our time. It is the AlefBet that we need to trust, and everything is so He can bring us back to Him, because the Father has never left us. We have abandoned the Father. But the AlefBet is there, and I've taught you, and I'm teaching you to abide in the AlefBet. Because all the nations teach you to abandon and go substitute for something else. But that's not my teaching. Alright, so where we are now?
Still 44.
44, oh yeah. Excited. You also freed me from the quarrels of my people. That's why I'm not called with the people. You made me the head. Look at you made me the head of the nations. People I did not know now serve me. Because he was recognizing, that he was a king at the time. Says, the moment they hear of me, they obey me. foreigners came cringing to me. Foreigners lose heart as they come trembling from their fortress. Adonai is alive. Blessed is my rock. Exalted be the God of my salvation. The God who avenges me and subdues people under me. He delivers me from my enemies. You lift me high above my enemies. You rescue me from violent men. So I give thanks to you, Adonai, among the nations. I sing praises to your name. Great salvation he giveth to his king. Okay, who is the king? It says here, he displays grace to his anointed, to David, and his descendants forever. Okay, because David is the one that has been assigned as the Mashiach. In the Mashiach, what the Mashiach does is what David did in Psalm 119. He delivers the davar, he delivers the alphabet for all the way the world is using it to promote their own gods that they have gone to accept because they abandoned the Father. They went and made up other gods and they've gone to accept it. David never did that. He took the whole letters, he dedicated the longest verse, the longest chapter in the Bible, made the longest song out of it, and taught us to be in there, just with the alphabet and always abide, and his son said the same thing, in Proverbs 18:10 it says, the name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe and are rescued, So Solomon also understood a strong tower is a power source. He's the AlefBet. So Solomon was not abandoning, he was abiding in the AlefBet. His David abided. So the whole idea is to dedicate, the davar, the word that is in you, the administration of the economy, to dedicate it, exclusively to the mindset, to the resh, to the head, to the reshit, the wisdom of God and all his faculties. Okay? And that's what the Moshiach does. He delivers the alphabet from the way that it's being misemployed in the mulectic garden. Everybody's creating the whole industry to make you see, this is what you're missing out. The latest iPhone, that's going to be your daddy now. If you get it, you're going to get this higher respect. So everybody, is going after the different fathers of this world. Everybody, from religions to creeds to everything else. But David never abandoned. He dedicated the whole word that was in him, to the mindset. Okay? And that's what I'm calling you. I'm happy to be the David at this hour, and that's what I'm calling, because I'm directed, with the David from old time. I'm his twin brother from now. Interconnected to the passage of time, but that's why I call this the Hadavarim, the HDTV 28. I don't know if you know, but I just found that. I think one of my friends, I think Mary Leona Hilton, right? She's the one. She was sharing something 2 days ago, and a timeline saying that there's 28,000 broadcasting jobs in the world. She was, and then asking something about how you feel. A lot of them lost their jobs because the fake news are going to go on or something like that. And she was just collecting some information, I guess. But I thought, I had not considered that. 28,000 broadcasting companies, right? Broadcasting jobs, 28,000. And I named my channel HDTV 28. Okay? You know what I'm saying? But it's 28 because I like 28 because it's bringing you David in stereo. David, numerical value of David is 14. So the David from the Old Testament and the David of this hour that's delivering you, two of them together, we're the David in stereo. Okay? So I was thinking of that. And I was thinking also of chapter 28, because 14 and 14 is 28. And I was thinking chapter 28 was Hadavarim, which is Deuteronomy, because it explains how God manages the blessings and how he manages the curses. And that's how I was going to explain how the alphabet, through this channel I'm explaining all of that, how the alphabet rules in the here and now at all times. He has never abandoned us. He made us for the purpose of us acquiring his mindset and enjoying his mindset in the here and now. And that can be happened. And that is what the Torah delivers. And anybody that doesn't bring you to the mindset of your Maker in the here and now, he has stripped you of your true heritage. He has taught you to abandon the AlefBet, the power source, you know, for something else that might come up in the heavens, or you might be taken up to the heavens. No, we are going here and now. In the here and now, we can acquire that mindset. Okay? And that's why David will say, you know, the great salvation he gave it to his king. He displays grace to his anointed. And anointed just means, that's the word Moshiach. Because that's what the word Moshiach means, anointed. To David and his descendants forever. Okay? So it's all like that, you know. So that's the promise that has been given to him. So the thing is, that's how easy you can tell who is the real Messiah, the one that's being able to exalt the AlefBet and keep the davar dedicated to his mindset. Then you have a Bet HaMikdash. That's why his son went out to build the temple, because their mindsets, their word was already dedicated to the mindset of God. Therefore, they were able to project the temple and bring it up. Okay, so that's how it has to happen. That's how always it is. We don't create something to venerate what is outside of us. We bring something out to demonstrate and to project what God is in us. But we never bow down to the thing that comes out of the work of our hands. Because that's avodah zarah, that's foreign service, that's idolatry. And we don't do such things. So that's the lecture for today. This is the testing. I'm going to be sharing this later on here. I think I'm going to do it later on today, right now, with in a little short while. I'm going to throw my other computer and set it up to share with with you know, with my group over here. So may God bless each and every one of you, and you know, and we'll have another one of these exciting recordings again during this week. Okay, so as it is, back to my green room again. And so I hope you have enjoyed the reading of the will today. Reading of the first will and testament. Because with God is receiving him as the power source. Understand that? Who provides with a strong current, that's the mother. And then just brag about them. That's how we honor them. We bring glory to the father and mother of our existence, which is the AlefBet. That's the powerhouse that provides a strong current, and we become that power plant, and our riches is to reveal the power source and the strong current. Alright? So you need to understand that, and I hope you get the idea. This is my enthusiasm. So I'm providing you with the way the Torah does things. It leads you, the Torah was the reading of his first, you know, will and testament. You know, so that you will get to acquire his mindset and enjoy his fellowship in the here and now. And that's how we work on it. Alright? So let me close here with a commercial. Good to have each one of you. Hope some of you showed up. But I will be loading that up to YouTube as well. Here we go.